small 500K, you jump into agriculture and you start doing stuff. And it's way beyond that because there are a lot of risks attached to it. You would lose money. I cannot even lie about that one. You will lose money at some point. And it's not a good thing to say. And many people try to own it, but you would lose money. You would give up at some point. And I feel like everybody who has done tremendous stuff in the agricultural space in Nigeria and are still coming up have either at one point or the other thought about giving up on agriculture because it's patient capital. Aside patient capital, you, the person that is involved, you need to be patient because you will not see the results immediately. It comes over time, and the structure, the infrastructure is not in place. We don't have good roads yet. We don't have electricity that is stable. We don't have a lot of things figured out yet. It's more like we are still our own government. And when you are trying to battle these things and still build either an agribusiness or an agri-tech venture alongside, then you know how crazy it must be. And it's not as if the agricultural sector is regulated like the fintech space, right? Everybody's just everybody's winging it. You wake up this morning and something happens. You are not in control of your farm, especially if it's open. There are no fences, there's no barricade. Um, you send the product from Kaduna to Lagos, and it's taking about 2 weeks on the road because the driver decides to sleep in every state that he gets to. um, you supply to the person that you have to supply to, and it's taking about 1 week or a couple of days to get your money back, which is more like your operational funds. So a
Yeah.
lot of things are going on at the same time, and Nigerian youths are just like, okay, let me figure out my life first. Let me build a career. Let me have consistent revenue or income before I now venture into agriculture and now start it in there on a step-by-step process. I won't blame them, although I would advise people to come into agriculture, but I'm not much of an advocate of advising people to come into agriculture that much. I'm more of the identify what works for you in the agricultural space and plug into it. So right from time, I studied agriculture in school. Some people know that, some people don't know that. But when I was leaving school, I told myself I was never going to go into production. Sorry to anybody that thinks, what is it called? But I told myself I was never going to go into production. Several times my parents and friends were like, "Oh, let's produce this, let's do that." But my experiences and looking at it, like for me, it's not something that is actually profitable. It's something that I'm interested in doing. But if it comes to other part of agriculture, so I had to carve a niche for myself. I'm going to do business analysis and business development in agriculture. And while doing that, I began to identify problems, began to identify solutions, and I was like, okay, let's move towards innovation for agriculture. And how can we do that with the people and not for the people? And that was where everything I started doing began to span out. And God's grace has been helpful as well as the mentors and the different friends and colleagues that I've been able to walk this journey with. It's been awesome. I think we are live now for about 3 minutes.
Yes, we are. At least you've given us your background story. But I'm going to just sort of read out your. I'm going to read out your bio for our viewers and everyone that will watch us, and so that they can get to know the phenomenal, amazing Mr. Joseph Fashola that we have on the call today. So, Mr. Joseph Fashola is a seasoned agri-tech and agribusiness leader who is driving sustainable and innovative solutions across Africa within the food system. As the co-founder and CEO of Agrolinking, he is leading the development of AgriTrail, Nigeria's first comprehensive food traceability platform, enhancing premium market access and compliance to by 40% and supporting over 100 agro-business. With expertise in business analysis, stakeholder management, and program management, Mr. Joseph has empowered more than 500 stakeholders, secure vital partnerships, and facilitated access to over $50,000 in funding for agripreneurs. His work spans across mobilization of 1,000 plus agricultural enterprise and generating significant revenue growth for startup, including a $15,000 in bi-weekly earning for Northern Nigerian agro ventures. That's quite impressive. Currently serving
Thank you.
as an entrepreneur. Yeah, like when you see something that is amazing, you should say, "Oh wow, that's really good." Um, Currently serving as an entrepreneur and in resident and leading the Agric studio at a fast forward venture studio. Mr. Joseph has focused on building scalable agrotech solutions to unlock Africa's agricultural prosperity. He has consulted on high impact projects funded by African Development Bank, the EU, and MasterCard Foundation alongside IFAD, and work alongside institutions like African Project Development Center and Enterprise Development Center. Mr. Joseph, aside his professional endeavor, is an avid traveler and passionate admirer and a Real Madrid football fan. Fantastic. I like the fact that you added humanity, a touch of humanity to it. Like you have to tell us that you're a Real Madrid fan. That's good. So any other person that's a Real Madrid fan here, just give Mr. Joseph some emojis in the chat. And so we're just going to proceed with the conversation. You wanted to say something?
No, no, I just wanted to say Ala Madrid to every Real Madrid fan. I know the season is not going the way it ought to be or what we thought it
Oh
was going to be, but
my god.
we are coming back next season. We'll be fine.
Oh my God, he just had to do that. Anyway, your fellow Real Madrid fans, they're encouraged not to give up. That's there's a comeback for you guys, and that's really
But
good.
actually, the reason why I
Okay.
like the Real Madrid philosophy is because of the culture and the idea around
Okay.
excellence. Like when you think about Real Madrid, it's nothing
Okay.
like everything is a standard for everything, and that's one of the things that drives me in my life. Like it's excellence or nothing. If I'm not giving my 100%, I'm not doing it. The day I begin to feel like I can no longer give my 100%, I back out fully. So if I'm not going in like big,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going in at all. So yeah, excellence
Mm.
or nothing.
So it's like go big or go home. Okay, nice,
Go big.
fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. I like that personal philosophy. Like give your all and give, when you give your all, do it excellently well. And that's like the
Yeah.
the the hallmark for success, right? And thank you for sharing your personal philosophy with us. And so even as we delve into the conversation, even as we delve into the conversation of digital agriculture and food traceability in Africa, I would like us to start out from the point of view telling us what food traceability is for anybody that is not conversant with what that term represents and why it's becoming increasingly important for Africans' agricultural value chain. So just help us understand the concept.
All right. Thank you very much. Peace. I honestly cannot pronounce your entire name, and I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I'll go for now. So why is food traceability? What is food traceability is to start with, and food traceability in simple terms is knowing where your food comes from, what it
Mm,
has gone through, who handled it until it got to your table or it got to the mats or wherever it is you saw it before buying it, and why is it becoming increasingly important. And this is a question, this is a topic that many of us in Nigeria and Africa are not ready to have, because when we look at it as against our purchasing capacity, they call it purchasing parity, right? We are still at a point where we just buy things for consumption's sake, to be honest. We don't buy things because we want to be healthy. Like we are surviving
mm-hmm,
practically, so we don't think about where the food we eat comes from. The reason why it's becoming increasingly important is firstly because there is a growing concern around foodborne illnesses, right? Globally,
mm,
and also uh, as a whole. Malnutrition is also something that is becoming very, very. The discussion around malnutrition is already becoming very important, because you look at children, you look at adults, and you can't really say for a fact that these people are well nourished because of the quality of food that we consume. And on the other end, you look at the fact that, oh, our government is always clamoring for in forex, but how will you in forex when the people you want to even send your products to are unable to trace where their own food that they want to import to their country come from, right? And that has prevented us from having access to markets, even the regional markets, not to now even talk about the global market at the end of the day. And this is how it ties into trade entirely. So yeah, this is what food traceability is: simply empowering you, like getting detailed information about where your product is coming from, either crops or livestock, and knowing what it went through, who handled it, and also the nutritional content and nutritional quality. You can agree with me that since inflation skyrocketed in Nigeria to a crazy percentage, right? Even the manufacturing companies have cut down on the quantity, not just quantity, but the quality of some of the things that they produce. And at the end of the day, we are the receiving end. Ours is we just buy to survive, right? We buy to eat, and let's know that we have something in our stomach. And until we are able to now consciously um, start making these decisions, these food decisions, only then will we be able to say that we are food secure as a nation and as a continent in general.
Wow, wow. Thank you for helping us understand the concept. So, if I get you, it is typically around the issue of compliance, more or less like QAQC within agriculture. That's what it is. Like, there's an element of that within it.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So, from your own experience as an expert, what are like some of the biggest compliance and quality assurance challenges that you've seen African agribusiness face when it comes to like premium markets?
Okay, so I would not say I'm an expert because every day we learn, and I strongly believe that I'm a lifelong learner. But yeah, thank you for the question. In terms of compliance, I would say that firstly, we are, especially when we started, I remember I mentioned something that we have never scratched the surface in Nigeria in terms of
Yes,
agriculture.
yes,
We are still
yes.
doing basic and of the basic things. So when we come to compliance, you still realize that for you to even get NAFDAC certification in Nigeria, it's a whole hassle on its own. You have to apply. Everything is actually, while they say some processes are digital, everything is actually manual. They still have to come to you at the end of the day. Even when they come to you to inspect your facility, they give you the certificate. The certificate is actually just a certificate, and then they give you a NAVDAC number. Now, when you are trying to export out of the nation, right, those people there may not necessarily know NAVDAC, right? Even if they
Yeah,
know NAVDAC, the number, right? Have you ever bought something in the market and then you try to check the NAVDAC number on their portal? The UI
no,
UX.
no,
Okay, I've tried it so many times, and then you realize that the UI UX of the entire platform is we are live. The UI UX of the entire platform is something that was like the basic consumer, like the normal consumer, may not have so much knowledge or understanding about what exactly it is. And that's one of the things we are doing with AgTrail. We want to simplify this thing. How are we able to collect the entire data from these? Okay, now the agricultural value chain is wide, right? Compliance at every point. So if you say you are doing organic farming as a farmer, right, then
mhm.
everything you are using for your inputs should be purely organic, or to
Yes,
certain level, a certain percentage, they should be organic,
yes,
right?
yes,
Now, aside that, we also need to get you where you source these inputs from, and then also know what type of operations went into the production. This is where
yeah,
compliance starts from. We also need to know who handled it. When was it planted? When was it breeded? In terms if it's animals, everything that went into it, who handled it, when was it harvested, or when was it slaughtered, how was it packaged, and so on and so forth. These are the things that are involved in compliance because without this detailed information, right, the consumer is not empowered with anything.
yeah,
He's not able to know whether or not it has gone through the normal standards. Also, for the export market, because we lack digital identities for our products, because traceability is something we've not fully adopted in Nigeria, there are so many recalls that happen when we try to send our products out of the country. You just see that, and this is one
yes,
of the things that leads to harvest losses because your products either
yes,
get there and it does not meet their standards, send it back, and the process of sending it back
yes,
post harvest loss occur. So these are some of the things that we need to target. And again, when you look at it critically, I said farmers use manual records. Many farmers are not they don't care about whether or not they record anything. Like they know they've planted or they know they've done
mhm,
what they need to. It's gone. Also, when you look at it from the regulatory angle, NAFDAC, SON, and these guys, the European Union has made it very difficult now for us to export to their place. But why I say
mhm.
difficult, it's very easy because now they've told you these are the requirements you need to meet to be able to
Correct.
export
Yes,
Europe. You need to meet this thing, and the only way you're able to make this is if you actually keep records, if you actually ensure that everything you do from day one, from your product sourcing to your final packaging, is recorded. And you can just send a
Mm.
QR code to them, send a link to them for them to verify you on AgTrail to see that, okay, this is everything that I've done. And now that social impact is a big thing, climate, they want to see how are you contributing to um, how are you contributing to climate resilience? How are you empowering the people around you? Hope you are not enslaving the children in your society to work for you, right? And these are little things that they also check before they are able to say, okay, you can fully export. But the way it works now is you get a product from Nigeria, you first send the sample abroad, or you take it to the lab, do all those checks before you now. All these things take a long time, and even you as someone wants to export market, you get tired at some point and you start asking yourself, is it really worth it? Not to now talk
Yeah.
about the financial aspect of financing the entire process, because the CBN has
Mm-hmm.
to ensure that you are giving are the ones that are in charge of the dollar that you would use to facilitate the entire process. Now bringing banks into it, so it's a whole lot of compliance things which we may not be able to fully discuss here. And certifications are expensive because there's HACCP, there is NAFDAC, there is SON, a lot of regulatory bodies. Why don't you just bring them into one place? You will still go and meet NEPC again to certify you that you are able to export out of the country. So a whole lot.
Hmm. Wow. Wow. Okay, I've learned a couple of things. So just listening to you talk about the traceability thing, and I think that's much more than it helping in terms of like the consumers understanding what the handling process of the product that they are consuming, but also helps with even the export thing that you talked about, and just seeing how the process can be less tiring or less drudgerous. You know, wow, that's really good. My next question now is also towards AgriTrail. I know you've talked a bit about that, but can you sort of walk us through like the journey of just building AgriTrail and how it's on its own, it's just helping to solve traceability issues and market access issues in Nigeria.
All right, thank you. So it's agri-trail. A lot of
Okay.
people say things because the AG in front of it is a short form for agro, but yeah, it's agri-trail. And the entire idea for agri-trail, funny enough, came when I was on a 2-hour bike journey to one of the rural communities in Kano State, right, to engage farmers there. I was going and I was thinking about it. Like the farmers that are in this place, nobody gets to hear their story, nobody gets to know about them, right? At the end of the day, we consume food on a daily basis. What can we actually do in line with this to ensure that these people are not just producing and we are just buying from them, we're actually telling their story. And this is one of the things that we plan to do with Actual, tell the story of these rural people, right?
Yeah.
Project them to the world. And that led us to a point of research. So at AgroLinking, one of the things that we are big on is data. We are very, very big on data because our end goal is to be the backbone of Africa's agriculture. And how do we intend to do that? To be that go-to place where people say, I'm looking for data on this. Where do I need to go to? And the first thing that comes is AgroLinking. And with AgTrail, we now decided that how do we solve this problem? It's, so we spend a lot of time doing a lot of research. Why exactly is traceability not a thing? Why have people adopted it in the health sector for drugs? Like for drugs now, you may not really call it traceability, but when you buy drugs, you see a code and they say, oh, text this code to so and so to be able to know whether this drug is valid, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
and all. Well, for agriculture is entirely different. And as I said earlier, we are still in a point where we are surviving, right? So we are not thinking about these things. So when we went deep into research, we are like, okay, so this can actually work. We've seen IBM build this thing right in the US. We've seen the European markets have conversations. At that point, the European Union, we're already having conversations around traceability because foodborne illnesses were already becoming a thing. There were class action suits against manufacturing firms and food producers as to how their foods were making people either vomit or making them ill, and so on and so forth. And we're like, how can we actually bring this into Nigeria or even into Africa? And as always now, very young people, energetic, we're like, okay, we can do this, we can do that traceability.
Yeah.
We do something in the market, and the market taught us a lesson. And like, okay, this market is actually not ready. So we got into an incubation program at some point, and we pitched AgTrail, and yeah, everybody liked the idea, but again, the market was not ready. So
Yeah.
we had to go back to the drawing board, and we are like, who are the people we really need to target for this? And we decided that we're going to target the 1% of the 1% in Nigeria who are actually conscious about what they consume. And that
Mm.
was like a moment for us. And at that point, that was when the International Fund for Agricultural Development sponsored me to the European Institute of Innovation for Sustainability for a certificate program in food and sustainability. So that opened my entire my eyes to what like food was, and I began to understand why certain things in Africa are not working, why we have not fully hacked agriculture or agri-tech or what agribusiness in Africa, right? And I began to engage in conversations with the innovation leaders, IFAD, also with my colleagues in the classroom, and the people that were speaking to us were people that were experienced. I was like, okay, actually, this thing is possible. So I and my team buried ourselves in reading the entire European regulation around traceability to understand where exactly it is that we are doing wrong. And we decided that, okay, these are the things that we need to do. Firstly, we need to ensure we are going to figure out how we are going to collect this data from the rural farmers, because traceability starts from production, right? We need to
Yeah.
figure out how we are going to collect this entire data from the producers, not even from production, from the input that's used for production. And then we said, okay, we're going to build a low scale tool, and we use this is an in-house secret, but I would say is we use Google Sheets to build our first app to collect data at for AgTrail, and we got into Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition Agribusiness Innovation Challenge, which helped us validate our idea
Yeah.
again. And at that point, we are speaking to rural farmers in Nigeria, and we realized that there's a certain um, product or commodity in Nigeria that only people that are very conscious about their nutrition consume. And we are talking about orange flesh sweet potato, vitamin A maize, vitamin A, cassava, and so on and so forth. And we engaged the farmers and processors, and we realized that this is something that they actually needed. Although we were not winners of the innovation challenge, we were part of the top five. But we went back home with a lot of learnings, because at that point we are looking over to charge farmers. But from experience, farmers in Nigeria they don't pay dime for any service or any solution you are bringing to them, except if you embed it something. So we went back to the drawing board, and in one of my conversations with someone high in the industry, and I was like, you guys are actually doing something that is nice, but just make it a plug and play solution that you now center around regulators and center around export market, and it now becomes more of an API solution whereby if NAFDAC wants to verify anybody's product, they just come to your platform, they integrate your platform into theirs, they see the entire journey of this person, either as a producer or a processor, and even the export market, they don't need to do the entire due diligence again, because you've done that for them, and just in your what you call your revenue, either on a pay as you use model or on a subscription model, and you're like, makes sense. So I reached out to one of my friends who run a processing um and a more like a food firm, right? And we're like, let's partner up to do this thing. You do the marketplace, we do the entire data collection, and we leverage their farmers to run the pilot. And that has gotten us into several programs at the moment where we are basically pitching for and preaching the gospel of actual why traceability is very essential, especially with the AFCFTA agreement that was basically signed a couple of weeks back by the Nigerian government to agree to join efforts in ensuring that there's free trade across Africa, and to also ensure that whatever it is we are doing meets standards globally. So at the end of the day, it's just to provide that digital identity for farmers, for their products, for processors, whoever you are across the value chain, you should be seen, you should be known, we should know your story, and we should know that you are contributing to sustainability and security of food. Thank you.
Fantastic. I like the digital identity of farmer thing. It sounds like a very novel idea within the Nigerian context. Yeah, and that's like a really big bold move. Uh, but there was something you said earlier, which was like the market might not be ready for it. But I think subsequently, with the progressions and things that are coming up, there would be a much more better receptivity to this innovations that your organization has come up with. And so I
Yeah.
think you've talked. Okay, go.
Yeah, so the market is gradually accepting traceability. The federal government a couple of weeks back put out something around how they are willing to what is called collaborate with people or do things around food traceability, which is very essential because they are seeing how much we are losing just because we are unable to tap into the export market. I'm currently speaking with one of our potential partners that is in the United Kingdom, and she's looking at, oh, how can we help them verify the farmers will be sourcing their products from and creating a digital identity for these products that they can also show to the regulatory agencies there that the products they are sourcing from Nigeria meet the standards that it's supposed to meet for their own consumers there. And like I said when I started, right, if it's either you go big or go home for us at AgroLinking and for me and also at AgroLinking, and we believe that gradually the market will begin to align with what we are doing. May not be today, but the market is already aligning. And by the time the market is ready, we are already there to tap into it fully.
Wow, that's really beautiful. That's really, really beautiful. I know that you've spoken a bit about some of the challenges and obstacles that you encountered, but I would still like you to share more as to some of the unexpected, will I say, obstacles or insights that you encountered while implementing this digital traceability solution within the agribusiness sector.
Okay, so one of the things we encountered, right, was the fact that knowing who to speak to, very, very important. So everything we are doing now is more of like from the private sector point of entry. One of the things that we plan to do, which is very important, because at the end of the day, it's going to be more of the driver for AgTrail is to be able to bring the regulators who are more public sector guys to partner and collaborate with us fully to achieve this. So that's one of the issues, knowing who to speak to. Aside knowing who to speak to, knowing where in the value chain to plug yourself into. So when we started out, you're like, oh, we are going to focus on the farmers, try to onboard the farmers, but that process did not work, right? So what we are doing now is we are looking at processors, right? Processors that have farmers that supply them consistently, and then we plug into their system and say everything that a farmer does should go through us at AgroLinking, right? We will do the entire verification for you so that you as a processor for your end product, you would have a digital identity for. We are currently doing that with Farmer Go in Oyo State, in Ibadan, Oyo State rather. That's one angle. Secondly, the aspect of revenue generation from it. To be honest, it's a whole lot.
Yeah.
So figuring out because there are different level of processors and their scale of production or scale of processing differ. So you are now looking at how do I charge the person and still give the person value and and I still get value on the other end. So it's more of now a tiered pricing for the different and then you are now looking at, okay, if the regulators later come in, are we going to make it more of an open source solution for them where we just do it for the national good? And you are looking at how can we get exporters to trust this platform after we've done the entire work. So it's a whole lot because building a solution in Nigeria is not cheap. You need talent, you need operations. And for us at AgroLinking, on AgTrail, when it comes to AgTrail, we've come to understand that we would be spending a lot of our time doing operations, right? Being on the
Yeah.
field, doing either collecting the data or validating stuff or working in alignment with NAFDAC. At some point, we might need to work closely with National Orientation Agency to enlighten the public on why they need to be they need to know about where their food is coming from and all that. And it's going to involve, and it currently involves a lot of training, speaking to farmers, enlightening them. And the end goal for us is when we have these digital records right across, these farmers can now leverage this to now access financial services because now you can look at these records of farmers trace digital identity and say, okay, this is what this farmer does at this scale. What if we are able to pump in or invest in him to a certain level? He will be able to the ripple effect will be this and this. We'll be able to increase what he's doing. At the end of the day, we have a nation that is food sufficient, and we are able to export out of the country.
Wow. Wow, that's really really amazing. I like how you mentioned there's so many salient points you had mentioned, even just sharing this last point, talking about with agriculture, you guys having to like sort of pivot in terms of who you are servicing. At some point it was
Yeah,
like the farmer, then you realize that nah, we won't get it right if
yeah.
we stay here. I think we have to focus on the processors. And even within the processors space, there were still like tiers because some persons are like small scale and some other persons are like
Mhm.
large scale. I like how that dynamics work because sometimes most people tend to like, okay, how we had initially envisaged we're going to go in terms of like the path we want to, the solution we want to provide. We're not making heads with there. I think that there's nothing here. But for you guys, we're also able to see, okay, what's the way around this? That's really
Yeah.
commendable. Really, really commendable.
Thank you.
So my next
Thank you.
okay, you want to say something?
No, no, yeah, you can go. I said thank you.
All right, fantastic. So my next question is for like smallholder farmers. And when I said the smallholder farmers, I remember what you said at the beginning that we're still trying to scratch the surface. Ah, my God. Because every time most conversations are always around smallholder farmer, smallholder farmer. Woo!
Yeah, we focus on them a lot because we are still more of a nation that is still trying to figure out production, right? And while we have a lot of farmers in Nigeria, there is no doubt about that. We at this point, the amount we saw non amount the number of farmers we have in Nigeria, we are supposed to be sufficient food wise, but because of the inefficiencies across the production, because the production is not productive, right? In that,
Mm,
I can use that.
that's
They are
suitable.
still the
Wow.
production is not productive. They are still using the hoes, the cutlass, a lot of human labor. While whereas we can use low feature tools, right? Like it's a mini or a small tractor. So it's going to take maybe humans maybe 2 or 3 days to clear an entire acre of farmland, right? Whereas it's
Yeah.
going to take maybe a machine a day or so to clear that. So you're saving 2 days, but again, you're investing in terms of resources financially, which many of these people don't have because they are not sustainable, despite all the interventions that have been channeled towards them. So, yeah, as much as I like to talk about smallholder farmers, I've gotten to a point here I no longer focus on them because remember, you're building a business while you're also trying to change the world from where you are, and you have to
Yeah.
survive.
True,
Yeah.
true, true, true. Anyways, okay, so back to the main question that have resulted in that segue. So for smallholder farmers or like young entrepreneurs with like limited resources, what are like some of the first simple steps they can take towards traceability and even compliance?
Okay, so I would say this popular quotes, which we already know. Yeah, it's popular. That's why we already know it. Knowledge is knowledge is power, right? You want to venture into traceability. You want to understand what traceability is. Read about it, right? Try to understand it.
Mhm.
There are a lot of resources out there, and you can start from watching this session, right? You can also reach out to us at AgriLinking to enlighten you more about it. We are open to doing that. You can also search online about what traceability is doing. Yeah, the effects of traceability to how other nations are adopting traceability in agriculture, in food, or in whatever aspect. And you would see a lot of resources out there, either in terms of articles, or in terms of report research papers, or in terms of policy papers, and so on and so forth. And if you are looking to now incorporate traceability into your process as either a farmer, a processor, whoever you are across the value chain, or even a transporter or a regulator, AgTrail is your best bet. You can reach out to us at AgroLinking. So yeah, the email is business@agrolinking.com. Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you for helping them with that. I like how you started answering the question, which is knowledge is power. I was having a conversation with another agripreneur within the week, and I was saying to him that from his own experience being in the space for probably over 5 years, and I was saying to him like, what's like the number one challenge you've observed just generally, like the most. And I asked him like three-person challenges that he has observed. Guess one of the things he said, knowledge. He was like, a lot of people just lack knowledge. It's just a lack of knowledge. And I was like, I was like, yeah, there's lack of knowledge. He mentioned lack of workforce. I was like, oh, people are not willing to come into the sector. But I like how you
Yeah.
answered the question. There's so much within the value chain. I remember the very first, I think it was like a workshop or webinar or conference that I had sort of heard you speak in. It was the one that was hosted by Elvis. I think
Yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
understanding that. Yes.
The
And so I
agribusiness
think
value
your
chain.
topic was somewhat around, yeah, I think your topic was somewhat around talking about the different value chains within agriculture. And I was just like, yeah, I never really thought about it like that. Like, oh, you didn't really necessarily have to be in production to be in agriculture. There was other aspects to it. So thank you for sort of sharing that with us. So my next question now is, what are some of like the digital tools, like low cost technologies that are available today? And first, another question before you take that is AgTrail like a web app or a mobile app? What exactly? You'd answer it alongside this. Um, what
Okay.
are like the digital tools, low cost technologies that are available today that can help African agribusiness improve traceability and transparency?
Okay, so first tool to help you improve your digital traceability, right? You would think I would say actual, right? But
Exactly.
I yeah, but I would say Google Sheets, right?
Oh wow.
Google Sheets is the first tool. You need to be able to
Mm,
collect your entire data, right, across whatever it
mm,
is that you are doing. So where are you sourcing your inputs from? What inputs did you source? What are the dates of either production on it or expiry date on the products that you sourced, your seed, your fertilizer, your herbicides, your insecticides, the animal that you just acquired, what is the parent history, when did you vaccinate them, all those data, right? And you can basically start with Google Sheets. Every one of us have Google Sheet or spreadsheet or Excel sheets, whichever it is that you call it. Create columns, create rows, and impute data across that. Right. Once you're able to look at that critically, you now see, because when you come to what is it called, to AgTrail, right, which is a web platform for now, right? Not fully live. We pulled it down to make a few changes based on the learnings that we got, and it should be coming live in the next in this week. Sorry, this week is over. Today is the last day, the coming week, right? Because once you come to us at AgTrail that, oh, you want to work with us or we want to work with you, this information that I just asked you for that you need to have in a spreadsheet is what we would also be looking for to help you to fully onboard you onto our platform. We'll be asking you these questions, and you may not be able to provide the answers to these questions if you don't already have a record for it, right?
yeah.
And if it's tedious for you, there are so many tools out there that you can use, especially with the emergence of AI and with the way they say AI is coming for everybody's job and blah blah blah. You can leverage so many AI tools to do so many things. Like I said, knowledge is power. Just research. But yeah, start with Google Sheets, spreadsheets, Excel sheets, whatever it is, Excel, whatever it is that you know it to be. And then Actual should be your best bet. Reach out to us and ask us questions, and we'll help you fully on board, right? And walk you through the entire. One of the things we do for the farmers that come to us directly is, okay, as our name implies, AgriLinking. So a lot of people think because our name is AgriLinking, we link people across the market, right, across the ecosystem or stakeholders, and we actually do that, right, and that's how we've been able to help agribusinesses access finance worth up to about $50,000, right, either in terms of grants or um, in terms of debt or equity, like a whole lot of things, right. So we take it as a personal struggle to help people become better and to connect stakeholders across the value chain, because we believe that you cannot always compete with each other. You need to collaborate. So if I'm doing traceability, I know I cannot fully integrate traceability and marketing marketplace together to help you access markets. But I have a partner that does marketplace that has access to the market as much as I also have access to the market. So we do the entire traceability and push you onto their platform, right? If you want to get access to the regulators like the National Export Promotion Commission, oh, we have access to those people. We can speak to them for you, right? And last month we are in a conference that was organized by my close friend Eric, who is a young trade leader, and we're basically enlightening and empowering young entrepreneurs, especially those in the agri space, basically non-oil exports sector, to understand what the requirements for export out of Nigeria are and what the basic things they need to do. And one of the panelists on the session that was moderating said you need to have these records on your own first. You need to have your own digital records in terms of, or even if it's as simple as an Excel sheet, right, or a Google Doc, right, document your processes first. And these are the things that would enable you to now say you want to access export markets. But yeah, your go-to tool is AgTrail for anything traceability. We would give you the digital identity. Yours is just to come to our platform, sign up, and input your necessary data. Don't just input data, your information as well. We are also going to verify it, and hopefully in the next maybe 3 months, we are able to fully partner with regulators. So everything around your NAFDAC certification or regulatory certification becomes digital as well, and we look forward to that, to achieving that. So that's one of the key things on our milestones. And we are currently in the Act for Livestock, because actually it's not just a tool for the crops. Because when you talk about agriculture, everybody's mindset is, oh yeah, focusing
Yeah.
on this and
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
livestock space and um, the crop space as well. And we are currently one of the 10 startups that have been selected to the Act for Livestock challenge, which is next week. And we'll be speaking with a lot of regulators, people from the Federal Ministry of Information and Communication and Technologies, people from NAFDAC, and so on, to see how we can plug into the already existing solutions to ensure that traceability is actually something that we are living and we are not just talking about.
Fantastic, fantastic. I like how you guys are making a lot of bold moves to see that these things are done within the confines of one particular platform, and also make it less stressful for the people that need to have access to the traceability features. And thank you so much for doing that. And just saying that the very first digital tool is like your Google Sheets, and then you can proceed to actual platform. Really good. At least that's the lowest cost, effective. The Google tool, just the Google Sheets, the very first one. At least everybody has access to that, so um, there's no excuse at this time. And it's just quite
Yeah, to
interesting to
saying
also, yeah. You want to say something?
Yeah, I said there's no excuse to saying that, oh, it's expensive for me to do this and do that. So
No,
we've all known Google Sheets, we've all known Microsoft Excel for a while now. So leverage it at first.
yeah, and it's also interesting to just hear you talk about the importance of record keeping and the importance of like data. In my head, I was like, oh, this guy's like a data guy, so he must definitely going to make emphasis on data. But aside that, I think that sense that I think that anybody that wants to make informed decisions about their business or whatever it is that they're doing, there's that edge that data gives you. Just keep records, and that
Yeah.
helps with the process. So thank you for also emphasizing on that. So my next question to you at this time is: how can improved traceability boost food security, public health, and even export competitiveness within Africa or across Africa?
Okay, so this is going to go back to what I have said earlier, which is simply digital traceability is very important. Firstly, I'm going to start from the angle of trade across helping you access premium markets. Nobody outside of Nigeria will buy what you have if they can't verify the source of the product.
Mm,
Now, we are not just talking about food. We are talking about um, anything, fashion, anything actually, right? I
wow.
was having a discussion with a friend who is a trade lawyer, an international trade lawyer, and we are talking about how traceability is something that everybody needs to adopt now because you cannot export out of the country if the people you're exporting to don't know where the source is from. So some people might tell you that this thing has to be 98% or 99% produced in Nigeria, right? With made in Nigeria products if you are going to be exporting to their country. Right. So, and digital identity is very important. We've seen Rwanda act this space. We've seen the World Trade Organization do this, talk about this, and are putting measures in place across the, I can't remember the name, is the ISPS, digital mechanism, something, something. But like, we need to, for us to be able to compete globally, for us to be able to earn in Forex, for us to be able to increase our earnings as a nation and as individuals, we need to be able to keep records and ensure that our products are traceable. And when I say traceable, traceable from end to end, right? People,
Mm.
as when they see the product, they're able to be taken through a journey and see that, okay, this is this is where the product is coming from. Although there are some data points that you may not see out there, the name of the farmer or so, but you are projecting, you are telling them this is where it's sourced from. You are giving them a story, you are carrying them on a journey, making them feel rest assured that what I am consuming is safe. For the export market
Yeah.
as well, they know that what is coming into their country, coming into their country, right, is safe for them to either consume or to leverage, or to use to do other things. In terms of increasing earning, for you as a producer or as a processor, now accessing premium markets, you are no longer waiting for the normal market which we have to buy your product. When your mates are earning in naira, you are earning in dollar and edging against the inflation at a certain level. And for the regulatory agencies, right, it eases the entire process because now you know that people are actually adopting traceability and it's easier for you to track if there's any or trace if there's anything. So, for instance, now if a particular person in a particular community buys a certain product and because of buying that product is unable to, he starts having a running stomach and all that, because you know where this product came from and who were involved in the production until it goes to the final consumer, you can easily recall the product, right? And now sit those stakeholders down and say, let's check your process. What was the thing that was done wrong here to prevent it from affecting the entire population? Who else did I miss out in your question? Premium
Public
markets,
health.
incomes,
Public
income
health.
of farmers or stakeholders. What else?
Public health.
Sorry?
Like the health sector. Public health. Public health, like the health sector.
Yeah, yeah, that was what I just explained now, like the public health, right? Because you're helping people now consume things that are nutritious, right? Which they are bold enough to say, I bought this chocolate from this store and it was produced by the people in either Osun State, Nigeria, not just Osun State, but in Oshogbo, Osun State, Nigeria. And they are very good at this and everything that their agricultural practices are top notch. Oh, outside Nigeria, and someone sends maybe a livestock, what is it called, packaged refined livestock to me, and I'm like, oh, this stuff came from Nigeria, right? Nutritional value, this is nutritional content. So I'm drinking a yogurt, right? And I know that this yogurt was produced by some guys in Adamawa, Nigeria. This anything that wants to happen to me, I know who to reach out to as a result of the traceability that measures have been put in place.
Wow, that's really good. Really, really good. So I just by this your explanation, I'm seeing the impact on a very holistic note that it can sort of have across the agricultural space in itself. There was a question I wanted to ask you. It was something that was prompted from what you um, talked about earlier on. I know you've talked about, governments are coming up with much more policies and much ways to see how they can sort of co-partner with yourself and other businesses that are trying to provide solutions within this space. But from your own standpoint, if let's just say the government are going to listen to this right now, and what
Yeah.
would you say they can do in terms of like partnering and just playing a significant role to sort of accelerate traceability adoption across the country? What would you think that they should do? Because I know they already have things in place, but what do you think would be a much more intervention or even solution that they should imbibe that would help the adoption of traceability much more faster?
All right. So the first thing I would say is please make it easy
Government
for
and
us to access.
policymakers.
Yeah.
Government
Um, my
policymakers and partners.
my first call to them is please they should make it easy for us to access the regulators themselves, right? It's very important. Why? And I'm going to be focusing on just two regulators now at the moment, NAFDAC and National Orientation Agency. Why NAFDAC? We all know NAFDAC, National Agency for Food, Drug. I've forgotten, God, I've forgotten what it means, the full abbreviation at
Administration
this point.
Commission,
But we
yeah.
know that they are the ones, yeah, in charge of
Yeah.
regulations around food and drug, right? And it's very important for us to be able to assess them and also help them see the light in what we are doing. Yes, they carry out a lot of processes which are actually manual, but because of the solutions that we are building, we can collaborate and see how we can cut operational costs on their own and
Mm-hmm.
also improve the entire processes and ensure that businesses, producers, consumers trust them enough to be able to come to them and say, okay, I want to do business with you. And that is only possible if there's a level playing ground, right? Where I'm able to reach NAFDAC and NAFDAC is able to reach me, able to have conversations that will drive the adoption of this across Nigeria. Now to the National Orientation Agency, right? They are doing a great work, but we also need to do a great work in terms of enlightening the public on why they need to know what they eat and why everybody needs to be conscious about what they consume, right? Because if we don't enlighten the public on these things, right, we'll just be doing things inside though. Only the elites, right, would know about these things. Only the elites um would be consuming good things or be consuming healthy products. But at this point now, we need to enlighten the general public, either with radio jingles. Oh, do you know where your food comes from? Oh, what have you eaten today? Next time when you go to buy your food or when you go to buy something, you can check the back of the product to see either a QR code or to see something where you're able to get information about the product's journey. And people now be like, one thing about people is they want to know, right? But we are not giving
Yeah.
them so much information, which
Yeah.
they would use to know a lot of. Even though many people are unable to, not unable to, many people don't like reading, right? But we can put these things in terms of infographics or graphical formats where people are able to look at it and are like, ah, wow, this is nice. This is the cow that produced it. This is the entire journey. So policymakers, yeah, we are open to having discussions, creating a level playing ground where you're able to plug into our solutions. I may not. I can't fully say that NAFDAC has an API that you can plug into, but we are willing to work with them to create something like that, whereby even importers in other countries are able to plug into NAFDAC's API and say, oh, we want to verify if this product is genuine, right, or it has gone through all the certification processes.
Fantastic. In this conversation, you've spoken a lot about export. Is there still a role as regards imports? Because I also believe that people bring things, okay, those things they meet the standards, so there's no need for that. But I was just hearing you talk. I'm just a bit curious if there's also an opportunity for your organization to sort of provide that as well for imports. Just me thinking out loud, though. Is there like an opportunity for that in
To be
terms of
honest, we've not really thought about it in that light, from that angle. But now that you've mentioned it, I think it's something that we also need to look into and see. I don't want to say something that someone would go and misquote, but yeah, I recently contributed to an article in a newspaper recently. I don't think it has been published, right? And it's simply around how people are smuggling goods into Nigeria as a result
yeah
of the custom levy, right? And a whole lot of things. So some of the products that we have in Nigeria, sometimes you may not actually know their source. They might bring them into Nigeria and then repackage them as made in Nigeria goods, and we consume them, right? And I'm sure we can remember that there was a time when plastic rice was a thing where people were
yeah
complaining that they're buying plastic rice of all
yeah.
sorts. So like these are the issues, right? And to be honest, we've not really looked into it, but I think we'll look into it as we grow. For now, let's look at what is going to what is going to
Yeah.
help us get to where we want to.
Well, yeah, yeah. I would want to think of it that as much as these other countries have regulations in terms of like standard that they expect a product that we are sending to them should have, I think us as a country we should have those kinds of things as well to just be certain of the maybe nutritional content or the the value of what it is that is being imported as long as it's food because people are going to consume it, right? But that's
I
also
believe
something
there are those
to
measures in place. Yeah.
okay, okay,
Yeah, I said I believe
fantastic.
there are those measures in place. Right. I know
Okay.
for Nigeria, some measures, some policy documents and all have been put in place. I know they do that, like they are big on that in Ghana and they're also big on that in Rwanda and Kenya. But I don't know how solid it is in terms of implementation for Nigeria.
Hmm.
So
Okay, fantastic. And I think that that's like a big issue because I have spoken with a couple of guests on the podcast, and when I ask them the question around what do you think the government can do to sort of aid the industry where you play in and things like that, there's always this conversation about it's not so much about the policy, it's much about the implementation or even the evaluation of the policies that has been sort of put out. Like we have so many policies, but are they implementing? And even when they're implementing, are they sort of evaluating it to make changes where changes need to be made and things like that? Oh, so good.
yeah, so that's true. Nigeria, especially in on the agricultural angle, we have solid policies, like solid policies. I was shocked. I think sometime last year when I mistakenly, not like I mistakenly stumbled. We were having a discussion with in class, right, around climate change and all, and we were sent to a particular tool to go and check stuff, and I saw the percentage Nigeria has in terms of policies and frameworks to ensure that we are mitigating against climate change. And I was like, really? Like we have all these things in place, but now it now comes back to implementation. Are we actually implementing these things? Are we having people that are driving them? And are we evaluating the effectiveness of these policies that we've already enacted? Right. But I honestly feel that the governments are trying their best. They still need to do more, much more, and they can only do more if they also create a level playing ground for we the young ones to come in, to assist them, to support them. We would not ask them for money. Some of us are actually passionate about the things that we are doing, as long as it drives.
Joseph, you ask for money. Joseph, you have to ask for money. You're the one that mentioned at the beginning of this call that providing agricultural solutions is capital
So
intensive. Don't be humble about it. But the good
yeah,
part is that you're asking for money. There you have the heart and the grit and the passion to put into it. So that's like the
yeah, so with the government, and this is being realistic and coming from a place of what I've experienced over the years. So the government would most likely not give you money. They would provide support. Yes, they'll provide support.
in terms
So
of
it's be
what?
more of like
How's it
either
coming?
technical support, either regulatory support. They will shall provide support to you, right? And that's where the entire public-private partnership comes into play. They might help you create something like a dialogue where they'll bring in all the policymakers, you discuss with them, you get learnings, get insights, they provide you access to their facilities, either in the communities you want to reach out to. But in terms of giving you money directly, because that's not how the government works, right? They are to create the support, they are to create the environment that works for you. So that's why I said for us, right, we are not actively like looking to them in terms of finances, right? But we need that support to drive. Just imagine if the Nigerian government wakes up today through the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and the Federal Ministry of Investment Trade, right, and Commerce, and they say that, oh, for every Nigerian that wants to export out of the country in terms of agri products, go to AgTrail today and register to ensure that you have digital identity for your product, because that is what you will be using or the government has agreed to use. Do you know the thousands or the hundreds of thousands of people that will rush to AgTrail just to, and imagine what that would do in the end for us, right? Especially
Yeah, yeah.
from the global angle, from the global perspective, people would now begin to trust us and say, okay, I want to import stuff from Nigeria to my country, right? I'm going to Actro to check where the source of the product is, or who are the people that are producing these things that I want to import to my country. So yeah, those are the supports we are looking at
Okay, so
For that.
more regulatory and enabling environment to
Yeah.
do what you guys are doing. Fantastic,
Yes.
fantastic. I like how you explicitly stated it and how you are like, okay, this there's a possibility there. So any policymaker, government personnel hearing this, please do act on what Mr. Joseph has just said. Because I also think that much more than just um, what it would do for AgriTrail, I also think about it on a grand scale, what we also do for the country in terms of
Mm-hmm.
like reputation wise. So it's more like a win-win situation. Everybody involved in that interaction has something that's going on well for them, the government and actual as well. So yeah, and it's like a solution that would save the government time and energy and resources, helping combat that inefficiency within the system and just ensuring that the productivity is productive, like you said. I haven't forgotten.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So now we've talked a lot about government. We've talked a lot about policy. We've also talked a lot about the work that you do with AgTrail. And let's talk a bit about what you guys do at AgroLinking. Then I'll ask you a couple of questions and we'll wrap up.
All right. Okay, so I'm to speak now about what we do at AgriLinking.
Yeah, so for anyone listening, because your under headline says co-founder and CEO. So we've been saying AgTrail, AgTrail. So let them know what AgroLink is. Yeah.
Okay, so AgriLinking is basically an agribusiness and an agri-tech firm. What we basically do in simple terms is we are driving innovation and sustainability across the agri-food sector in Africa. Our goal is to be the backbone of Africa's agriculture, leveraging data, leveraging collaborations, leveraging innovation across the space. And we are not just doing this alone. We have a whole lot of partners that we are working with, and we've gotten support from several organizations, INGOs, to ensure that we're able to achieve um, this mission of ours. We have several products that we push as AgroLinking. AgTrail is our flagship product. It's like the first product that we are building out of AgroLinking. We used to be more of service based, and what we used to do was more of okay, you want to collect data across the value chain, you want to analyze your data, you need agribusiness support in terms of consultancy, you need to train your staff to think like agribusinesses because one of our philosophies is we've done agriculture enough in Nigeria, in Africa. It's time for us to shift to agribusiness. Yeah, it's no longer a culture. We need to start thinking about it as a business that is profitable, is sustainable, and is impactful at the end of the day. And that is what we do at AgriLinking. So for the sake of just this session, right, our product is AgTrail, and at AgTrail, we are ensuring that every farmer, every producer, every stakeholder across the value chain is able to have digital identity that either the consumer at the end of the day is able to get access to and understand where the product they are consuming is coming from, what it has gone through, and everything that it has gone through until it got to their table or it got to their hands before they purchase it. And also for the people who are importing from Nigeria, to also know that these things that they are bringing to their country are actually safe for them and for their populace, right? So that's that. For more information about us, you can actually check us at agrolinking.com to get to know what we are doing at AgriLinking. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. 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 Uh, I like how you have sort of explicitly stated the solution that AgroLinking is providing and also helping us understand that AgTrail is
Hello.
one of the products that you guys have built so that provide solution at this time. Uh,
Hello.
okay. So my next question now to you at this time. Yeah, I'm hearing. Oh, network is working out. Okay, can
Okay,
you hear
yeah,
me
I can
now?
hear you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Fantastic. So my next question to you at this point is, what advice do you have for the Nigerian youths or the African youths that still thinks that agriculture or farming in itself is an unprofitable venture? What would you say to that person that would sort of see this video and just think, ah, they're just giving us gist? What would you say to them?
If you think agriculture is an unprofitable venture, thank you very much. You can continue with any other thing that you are doing. And this is me being blunt, to be honest. If because from day one, if you don't believe in it, don't venture in it. Don't venture into it. It's not going to work for you. The richest man in Africa has told us that for every business that he ventures into, he ensures that he knows a lot about the business, so that whatever decision he's making, he knows that he's ready to bear the consequence of the decision that he makes.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that he made. Right. So, firstly, from the being blunt, right?
Mm,
Just continue what you are doing. Don't venture into agriculture until you now believe that agriculture is going to work for you or you see potential in it. And when you actually see the potential in it, be careful enough to understand where you want to fit yourself into. All right. Production is not for everybody. What we are doing at AgriLinking is not for everybody. Traceability is not for everybody. Post-harvest loss is not for everybody. Packaging is not for everybody. I remember the first time that we had more like an interaction. You were telling me how you wanted to contribute to writing for the agricultural space or projecting the
yeah.
agricultural space, and that is what you're actually doing. You are not on the field collecting data or farming, but this is what you are doing. You are talking about agriculture. You are
Yeah.
getting people to get more insight into agriculture, right? And I feel like people need to understand that anything that you are doing in this world, I don't want to sound like our Nigerian professors or lecturers that will tell you, oh, you can become anything, it's agriculture that I study. But anything that you are doing in this world is directly or indirectly
Yeah.
to agriculture. So you can, if you work in the legal space and you want to
Mm,
have a passion for agriculture, come and work in agriculture and do something in agriculture. How can you help women access land outside your entire cultural norm? All right. How can you help them facilitate access to land legally? Right. How can you break these cultural norms? Okay. Like basically just look at how can you contribute to agriculture in terms of trade, right? As a legal person, how can you ensure that we are compliant in everything that we are doing? If you're an accountant, okay, how can you ensure that farmers are keeping their records or businesses are keeping their records properly, right? Like whatever it is that you are doing, you speak. Are you someone that loves talking, or are you someone that likes creating content, or are you someone that basically likes to travel and talk about agriculture, visit global farms, visit countries have that have grounded themselves in agriculture and have created a name for themselves, visit brands that have done tremendous things in agriculture. Like agriculture is not just agriculture. There is an entire value chain. So find a place to plug yourself into. Yeah, and also understand that it's you need to be patient, right? You may pour water into it today. The way it takes a while for a crop to grow and for a baby cow, right, to become a cow, right, that you can milk at the end of the day. It's the same way you need to be patient in agriculture and grow through the ladder and also pay your dues, which is one of the popular statements in the agricultural space in Nigeria. You must pay your dues, and whatever the dues mean, right? Just figure it out and do the necessary things for you to sometime for you to be able to get to the point where you want to be, and don't stop learning, keep learning, because the world evolves, and agriculture, like I said, we haven't scratched the surface in Africa. I don't think at the moment we have something that we can
mm,
point to as a sustainable solution or innovation in Africa. Not in Africa, rather in Nigeria, that has worked. I know we can see M-Pesa has worked for farmers in Kenya, especially in East Africa, but for Nigeria and West Africa, we are still finding it difficult to pinpoint and say this thing is going to live for 20 years in terms of innovations, for 30 years, like lifelong and all that, because we are still figuring it out. Yeah. I hope I've not given a lot of
mm.
information. Yeah.
No, 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 but that's really beautiful. I love how you give a lot of context. not like a very generic answer, but you gave context to it. I like how you started out with addressing the mindset. Like if the person just thinks that they're not going to do well here, they shouldn't even bother starting out because their mindset to what is already wrong, and therefore any outcome they're going to get is going to be a result of the level of thinking or the mindset that they have. And also just helping people that go past the mindset part to then see that okay, there is the value chain is long. You just have to sort of pick the one that is much more in alignment with maybe your personality or the things that you're already good at, rather than trying to struggle in an area that you don't have competencies in. And also the most important part, which is I think there's something you guys call like the patience capital. It's like something you have to pay. It's just like you have to just be patient. There's no way around it. You can't
Yeah.
circumvent the process. You just have to wait after putting in a lot into it. So the next question now
Yeah.
is, what your advice do you have for like young innovators who want to build, let's say, like a tech-driven solution for agriculture, but they do not come from a agricultural background? Is that a possibility as well?
Sorry, I didn't get that. The network froze for a
Okay,
bit.
so for a person that does not have like an agricultural background, but they want to build a technological solution for agriculture, what would be your advice for them?
So I would start with something that we all know. Technology is an enabler, right? So it has to work manually
Mhm.
first for it to building technology into it for it to scale. And when you are building technology, which is a lot of problem, not problem, which is a lot of, which is something I see in the Nigerian agricultural space. Some people sit down in their room and they feel like the farmer needs an app, right? The farmer in rural Nigeria or rural Kano or rural um, Jigawa states or somewhere like needs an app. A farmer would never use your app, right? Right. And there are levels to
Yeah.
farmers, right? There are smallholder farmers, there are mid-level farmers, there are large-scale farmers. The smallholder farmer that you are targeting that you are would never use your app. Someone that is already doesn't even have the phone to download the app, right? So that's one thing that we need to look at, right? And another one. So I don't just want to rant about this, but I would say for whatever it is that you want to do in the agricultural space in terms of technology, do it with the people that you intend to do it for, and don't do it for them, right? And what I
Mm,
simply mean is, oh, you've identified that this is a problem. Go meet the people that you think it's their problem, or you've identified it's their problem. Sit with them, like they say, when you're in Rome, you act like Rome. Eat what they eat, sleep where they sleep, live like them, understand the processes. And this is one of the things that has helped me in the agricultural space. Yeah, while I look young and all that, these are some of the things I'm about to do, like visit rural communities, sit with them, eat with them, speak their language, dress like them. Some of the reasons why I keep my beard so much like this is so they feel like I'm not someone that lives in a high place that they're unable to communicate with, right? Be like them, enjoy what they do. And while you live these experiences, when you're living these experiences, you begin to see what their drivers are, right? What are the things that are pushing
mm,
them or motivating them to go this route? And then see how you can now plug your solution or your potential solution into it. Right. And basically collaborate with them because they would be the ones to help you inform. You know the way they say, oh, products, market fit, products, customer discovery, and all sort of things. Do it for the agricultural sector. Don't just sit down in your eye office or in your co-work space or somewhere and dream of a solution and come and say, oh, it's going to work for agriculture. Many people make this mistake and they learn over time, right? Which is actually one of the ways you pay your dues because
mm.
you would learn, the market will teach you, the market will send you back home, right, to do your own research and just do it. And sometimes, right, the solution that you are building might make a lot of sense, but the market is not ready for it. So you need to now
Yeah.
ask yourself, what will I do in a situation where the market is not ready? Should I pivot for a bit to doing something else while still doing this thing? So one of the solutions that we are building at AgriLinking that is not really out there because the market is not actually ready for it. And even in-house, we don't have the capacity to build it that much. Is a credit scoring solution for agriculture, right? Whereby
Mm,
with this digital identity, and if you can see everything I'm saying is layering on top each of them. So we said, oh, we wanted to
yeah.
data for farmers or for agriculture. Now building on that data, we are now trying to solve traceability. Now building on traceability, everybody now has a digital identity. Now you are now able to solve credit scoring for the agricultural sector, whereby everybody now has a credit score and they are able to approach, or you are de-risking them for financiers, right? So these are things. I'm becoming more emotional and I'm passionate about it at this moment. But bury yourself in what you want to do. Understand how it works manually at the moment, and then look at the low hanging fruit solution that would work. And sometimes many of these things don't need big technology, right? It may just be WhatsApp call or WhatsApp group chat. Sometimes it may just be phone calls or
Mm.
maybe USSD codes, even though USSD codes are crazily expensive, right? The entire infrastructure at the moment is crazily expensive, but just low feature things that like these people are going to use maybe on a day-to-day basis, or it's more like a need for them. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, tie it into the fact that it's providing them with value in terms of money, because the only language that people in agricultural sector in Nigeria understand is how am I making money at the end of the day. So the farmer that you go to meet and you're telling him, oh, this will increase your productivity by so percentage, will it help me make more money in terms of market, right?
Yeah.
That's what you understand. The middleman that you want to eliminate out of the entire industry, you would most likely never eliminate them, right? But how can you build around them and ensure that sourcing and supply is easy for everyone across the value chain, right? And they're also making money easily from it instead of going to the farm every day to go and source your product, right? The consumer as well, how can you make their life easy? Just like we have farm at a go doing in terms of access to products for consumers or for 9 to 5 hours, and we have child tech doing in terms of access to food and groceries for people and Glovo and so on and so forth. Like, look for your target market, the segment you want to speak to them, understand their needs, understand their wants, understand their drivers, understand their motivation, understand where they want to be and where they are at. Live like them, use yourself as a case study, and then build a solution that works for them and adopt.
Mm. I like. Thank you so much for that answer. I like how you coin it. Like you have to. If you want to build a solution, you have to sort of immerse yourself into the experience of the people that you're building for. Don't build. Don't just build for them. Build with them. That gives you like access to a lot of feedback. Ah. So now I think now you're giving me the real reason why you live in the north. Because that's I feel like that's like the real reason you live there. Because guys, when I came on this call,
Truly.
I was like, "Oh, it's so nice to see you." Like first, I was like, "Oh, where are you?" It's like, "Ah, Kaduna." I was like, "Huh?" I never would have gone. So now I see. So guys, Mr. Joseph is a living proof of that advice you just sort of dished out. He lives amongst the people. And I think that if we were to do some sort of categorization in Nigeria, northern Nigeria, I think that they sort of probably I might not be correct with this, but I think maybe over 60% of like food that we consume in this country comes from northern Nigeria. Probably over
Yeah,
60%.
that's right. That's right. And that I would want to say, but I'm not going to say it. But yeah, basically
No,
most
no,
of
no,
the
no, say
food.
it, say it, say it, say it,
No,
say
no,
it.
no,
What do you
no.
say?
I'm not saying you're going to come from my head. And it's about how we're all trying to get a country for ourselves within Nigeria and all that. But at the end of the day, everyone will survive, right? Because in terms of landmass, northern Nigeria has crazy landmass, which helps them produce. And production of food has always been like the mainstay for northern Nigeria, right? A lot of people say, "Oh, Joseph, you're speaking like a northern now already," but this is the reality of things, right? Yeah, people in the southwest or in the south are adopting high level of production, either green and so on and so forth. But when you look at it, you cannot be venturing into greenhouse and be selling to the normal consumer, right? Your
Mm,
books will not balance if we are being honest, right? So,
yeah.
so that now comes back to we now asking ourselves a question of, are we being realistic? Where and where should we invest in? Where and where should we plug into? And if you feel Northern Nigeria is that place for you, yeah, you can move to Northern Nigeria and But you necessarily don't need to move to northern Nigeria to do all these things, right? You can also do it wherever you are, but just look at the maths. Like you said earlier, I'm very big on business in agriculture. So look at the maths and see if it works out for you. If your entire markup cost and your operational cost is not going to send you out of the market, or you're not going to generate revenue or be profitable at the end of the day. So whatever works for you, do it. Any crop in Nigeria can grow anywhere once you're able to provide it with the environment it needs to grow. So anything can survive anywhere.
Okay, thank you for sharing that with us. And now down
Yeah.
to my second to last question, which is looking ahead. What are like some of your I would like to call it what are like some of your boldest vision for digital traceability that could sort of redefine African agriculture, say within the next 5 to 10 years? What do you envision happening within the traceability space for Nigeria and Africa at large?
Okay, so this is a big question because if I'm to answer it, I need to answer it alongside the global trends. And the
Okay.
global trends at the moment are not actually stable. You cannot say for exactly what it's going to be. Earlier this year, we saw that every year across the world, everybody's eyes were red.
Yeah.
Now it's gradually becoming green, a bit.
Yeah.
But in terms of digital traceability, I would say we are getting to a point whereby it's actually going to become a thing that we have to live on a daily basis, where people are going to actively and consciously become conscious, right? And that's tautology, but people are going to become conscious about what they consume, not just what
Yeah.
they consume. Yeah, does it speak to like when you meet some people, you see that sometimes you only wear trad. Why do you always wear trad? Oh, this because it speaks to my personality, and
Yeah.
I'm able to relate to it. I'm comfortable in it, right?
Yeah.
The same way it's going to be for food, right? People want to be able to trust. People will be able to trust where their food is coming from. People will have confidence in the production or in the producers or in the processors or in the packagers or even the transporters, right? People have trust in the entire supply chain. And not just trust, it's now going to unlock trade for everybody where everyone has equal access to trade, right? Such that I'm no longer locked out of the global trade because, oh, I don't have traceability measures in place. But now that I have traceability measures in place, I'm competing with someone in Italy that is also producing. And because I produce here in bulk and this is what I do, maybe my cost of production is lesser than theirs. So they have no choice than to import from mine and process in their place. Or I have no choice than to produce and process in my place and package and export. So it now becomes a global market where Europe is competing with Africa, Africa is competing with Europe. Everybody's competing amongst themselves, Asia, America, just because you've unlocked global trade through traceability, which is more like the basic of the basic things that needs to be hacked first before we are able to now start talking about global trade effectively. So yeah, that's my bold vision, and my I pray and I hope, and we are putting in the work that agrolinking is going to be at the forefront of that. Our goal is once we are able to get NAFDAC on board and we are able to get NAFDAC on board and things goes well with them. Our product is live, fully functional. We have a lot of people using it. We now move to the African level, right, and start discussing with the African Union. And once we are done with that, we now begin to collaborate with the European Union, and at some point, we begin to collaborate with the World Trade Organization and see how we now become one of those guys that champion global trade, especially from the food angle. Big goals, but there's nothing impossible. Dream big, go big or go
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. You said it earlier,
And
go big
if,
or go home. I like how you have envisioned it. Yeah. And that's
yeah,
like
if we need to get
okay.
our best, and
Of
someone
course.
else will pick up or
Of course, and I
yeah.
think that this is like one of the amazing thing I've also realized just speaking to people that are experts in different spaces in agriculture and people that are creating solutions is as much as you're trying to create one solution, when you are deep neck into it, you then see that oh, there's a need for another thing. There's another solution that is within what you're still trying to solve. So it's everything just sort of builds up on each other, And over the course of like the decade, like you said, I think it's something that the organization would be able to do. Final question, which is not like a question as well. For anyone that has listened to this and would want to like connect with you guys, um, get your consultative service, your business development service, how can they connect with you? What platforms is best that they connect with you? LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, what platform, and how best can they connect with you guys?
So you can connect with us anywhere: LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. On LinkedIn, AgriLinking. Just type AgriLinking, you'll see it. On Twitter, AgriLinking as well, at AgriLinking. Instagram, at AgriLinking. Same thing for Facebook, AgriLinking. If you want to connect with me directly, Joseph Fashola. As you can see, that's my name on LinkedIn. On Twitter, on Instagram is DA_FOGA, right? If you want to send an email to me directly at AgroLinking, it's Joseph, Joseph, at agrolinking.com. If you want to speak to AgroLinking directly, which might most likely come back to my table, right? You can send a mail to business at agrolinking.com, and would pick up conversations from there.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Joseph. It's been
Thank you.
quite an enlightening and inspirational session. Just hearing the amazing work that you're doing and the level of solution that AgriLinking and AgTrail is providing for the agricultural sector within Nigeria, and also the impact it's having across Africa. So thank you for the work that you're doing, as well as thank you for, I like to say this all the time to my guests, especially my guests that are very young. I like to just say, thank you for just being a picture of possibility, right? Just thank you for being a picture of possibility. Like someone that gives like a reference, like, okay, this is possible. Like, okay, yeah, I should be able to do this. I should be, it doesn't necessarily have to be within agriculture, because there are different sectors, but within agriculture in itself, just seeing that someone is creating solutions despite the odds and the challenges, just having someone still push through it. It is inspirational and quite commendable. So well done to you, well done to your team for the amazing work that you guys are doing. I know you said you no longer, focus on smallholder farmers, but for smallholders farmers, for processors, for the government in itself. So thank you for the amazing work that you and your team are doing. So well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please, thank you for the opportunity to speak to your audience and to talk about our journey at AgroLinking, especially how it affects us building AgTrail, and to share the vision of what we are doing in terms of trust, compliance, transparency, and trade for the agricultural sector. And hopefully, in the future, we come back here to discuss until everything that Joseph mentioned that AgTrail was going to do. Yeah, they did it, and we'll see how
Of
that goes.
course.
Thank you.
Of course, yeah. I look forward to the outcomes, especially now that you've mentioned that the governments are more open towards these conversations and just creating an enabling environment to connect people that are working with that space. So I look forward to the outcomes, and I am most certain that those things you've mentioned, that they would come to pass between now and 10 years. Yeah, that's it. That's a lot of time to walk through a lot of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's a lot of time. So, and like you said, agriculture, you have to put in the patient's equity or the patient's capital. So, and you're here for it. I believe that you've had days and moments where you just ask yourself in Nigerian local palace, who sent me? But you still stand up and you keep moving. you know?
Actually, like, who sent me? That's the honest question. Because I can't
Yeah. Like, God, I could have been doing another thing in my life. But what is this?
actually,
But
which
you
I
know,
actually have, but
yeah.
one of the things that, can you hear me? I think network
Yes, I
is.
can. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. So yeah, well, one of the things that many people don't know, which I'll just give out here, is almost everything that I've done, directly or indirectly in my life, is tied to my learnings at AgroLinking, right? Tied to the exposure I've gotten at AgroLinking, from the point whereby things didn't work out to the point where things are now actually working out, to the stakeholders I've met, to the network I've built, to basically almost everything, right? And this is say the AgriLinking started in the year 2020, just out of an idea. And this is now like 5 years down the line. Some years we are not operational, some years we are operational, and just realize that you've grown so much and you've learned so much and you've built a crazy network that people can now leverage on to now become whatever it is they want to become if you're able to support them. And for me, it's more of let's go. And that's one of the amazing things. Are you still here? Can you hear me?
Yes, we are.
Hello.
Yes, yes, we're here.
Hello, can you see me?
I can hear you. I'm here. We can hear you.
Well, I said that was one of the amazing things that that I'm grateful to God for, and it's still driving me, because one of the things I want to do is to be able to see that s- in Africa there are sustainable innovations right across the agri-food sector or agri-food system, and I'm happy to be driving that as well, as I lead the agri studio at Fast Forward Venture Studio, which is more of a VC firm, but one of the VC firms in the world that decided to carve an agri studio for themselves to support people that are building for agriculture and and all, right? So that's that basically. And let's say that at the end of the day matches what the efforts that have been
You
put
have
in. Yeah.
Mm, that's really beautiful. You said something, just merely just addressing that. You said something very profound, and I think that uh, the viewers will learn from. And this is like my final question. In those moments where things are really tough and hard, by tough and hard is like you're getting a bit of resistance in terms of like the work and things are not quite looking the way you would had hoped it would turn out to look like. What keeps you going in those moments? Because I feel like anybody listening on this call, especially if you're within the agricultural space, you would have had a lot of down times, down moments. And so for you personally, what are like your go-to things that helped you in those times and also helped you sort of bounce back? I think someone can learn from it.
Um, I would say prayer. One, prayer for me is very important. When everything seems cloudy, I just go back to God. I'm like, actually, your word says that you knew me before I was born. So everything I'm doing now, you knew I was going to do it. All right. So come through for me. Just speak life. Help me. Give me strength. Secondly, I would say family. Family have been very, very, very helpful. They strongly believe that there's a future in what I'm doing, and they've been supporting me all through it, even through the down times, the good times, in the middle times as well. I would say friends, right, as well, and very, very key, because I pride myself with something now, and I tell people that in the next 5 to 10 years, people that will be leading agriculture in Africa are within my circle of friends, right? Because in our different spaces, whether development, policy, trade, entrepreneurship, government, like there are people that I know and have built relationship with, that we started together, and they are beginning to get their
Yeah.
flowers now in the industry, right? So that's very important. I was speaking to a friend, a close friend of mine, which that we started this journey out together, and I was like, "Oh, remember the time where I almost left agriculture, and I was like more deep into tech?" And she was like, "These things happen, right? But again, for me, it's more of what allows me to be myself, right? Where can I do the most and feel more fulfilled, right? And going back to what I said earlier, if I'm not giving my 100%, I'm not doing it at all, right? There are times where you will feel down, you will feel like nothing is working, but the question of are you able to push through? Because yeah. storms will come, tribulations will come, trials will come, but your perseverance, what keeps you going, is very important. What's your drive? What's your purpose? And for me, God has given me business, especially through agriculture as that platform, right? That I can now use to spread the word and to do things for Him. Also to my amazing team members at AgroLinking, most especially my co-founder Olamide, who has been there through and through it all. So yeah, like having someone that you are doing this with that is ready to get into the mess, the deep shit with you to get things sorted out, to stay the long hours in the night, to persevere through the journey and not give up. And to every member of the team that keeps doing things and keep putting in energy and putting in work to ensure that what we are doing is profound. So yeah, that's like these are the people that keep me going. These are the things that keeps me going, and hopefully they keep keeping me going and keep encouraging me to be the best version of myself as we continue to build the backbone of Africa's agriculture. Leveraging. Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. Good. If we can sort of summarize what you've just said, is every builder has to have like at least know God, have a solid support. Um, as well as a builder, know God for himself, have a solid support system, whether friends or family, and also have a close knitted team that you're working with. So that's for you. Those are like your major proponents that typically would help you within the downtimes. So thank you so much for sharing that. And
Yeah,
I believe that
lastly, I think I forgot something which I feel bad for. Have people that you listen to in terms of mentors. Yeah, that you can always
okay,
run to
your
and ask,
mentors.
bro,
Okay.
this thing is not actually clicking. Oh. I was speaking with a mentor of mine last week, and I was like, God, I can remember 2021 when I ran to you, and I was like, are you sure I'm actually going to be doing this for the rest of my life? Right. And I was like, no, that's actually how life is. Like you look back and you've gone through a lot and you are beginning to see the results now, but you don't need to give up. You keep need to keep pressing on and saying that I've not gotten to where I want to be. Um, and I've not achieved the results that I need to achieve. So you're having mentors that you can speak to that even when you feel like giving up and you're trying to go do something else, you're like, they can see into the future and tell you that, yeah, this is going to work if you can only put in a few more time or resources into it. By the side,
Fantastic. Well,
also
guys,
have money for you, sure. So maybe a skill that works that you can I'm being realistic. Have a skill that you can use to put food on your table. Because like they say, someone that has eaten fully that built startup, so or built solution for agriculture.
mm, I like this session has been really insightful and very like I think the realist part of you just like, oh my dear, please have something that is giving you money, keep money not coming from this yet. So because I also think that, no, to be honest, right, I also think that that's like one of the major reasons why people are forced to give up on it on time. Like that's like one of the major reasons. Like if that's like your main source of livelihood, then you might not. It's hard. It will be definitely hard. For a young person, fine, but like, you're not like a family person. A lot of people are not depending on
Ah.
you and things like that. You have to shout like, you're like, no,
Oh God.
no, no, like we can't do this. We can't do this. But I like the honesty in and also the vulnerability in this conversation today, just helping people see, yes, there's possibility, but you also have to be tactical in how you tend to like approach things. So thank you so much for sharing, uh, Mr. Joseph. It's just been quite an amazing time with you on this episode today. Thank you, and thank you to our viewers. As of now, there's no question on the chat. Only someone saying that no, now they know why you live in the the north. That's what they said, but it's fine. So I think your secret is out as to why you live in the north. That was like the only comment comment there. So for all those people that have been trying to encourage you to say no, move down west, move down south, it's like nah, he's not coming. It's just he's among his people. He's building for them, so he has to be with them. So he's not coming. Except you have a better offer for him, but nah, he's not coming anytime soon. So thank you so much, Mr. Joseph.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye.